Good afternoon. I'm running a lot behind as my temporary filling fell out, so I've just had to shove some more stuff in. So I will be with you in a second. So I'm just a little bit behind, as I say, because of my temporary filling problem. But hopefully I'll be with you shortly. But you can see the picture and you can see what I've drawn. Hi Christine, hi Trish, hi Cassie, hi Chris. I will be on Discord shortly. Hello Sarah. But I've just got to get myself sorted a little bit first. Hello Janice. Oh, it's all right. I clamp and grind my teeth a lot in my sleep, and obviously with all the stress of what's been going on, it's been getting worse, and with the dentist being closed as well. Then I fractured my back wisdom tooth about 4 weeks ago now probably, and I've been using temporary filling ever since. I fractured it and then it fell apart, so it's not great, so I can't wait for my dentist to reopen, but I'm not in any pain, it's just annoying, so don't worry. Let's get a bit of bird song to calm us down. Lovely to have so many of you with us today. So that's what I've drawn. Just the basic bit of the tree. I mean, there's not a huge amount of... So I've got a rough idea of the gradient of the slope, a little bit where the path is, and just a rough idea where the trees are. So nothing too strenuous to draw. It's in fact... hello, Robert. Good afternoon. I hope you had a nice birthday last week. Yeah, hopefully it won't be a stressful lesson for you today. It'll be a nice mellow lesson. We've got the bird song, we've got the sunshine. We've got each other. What more do we need, eh? A tooth, that's what I need. Oh. Press the wrong button, sorry. So welcome along. Welcome along if you're new. I can't see everybody that's joined. I can only see people after they've watched it. So say hello. And let me know when you've drawn. Just write drawn. And if you don't know, and if you can't comment and you haven't worked out how to do that bit yet, then maybe just a thumbs up or a like or a heart or something. I don't know. Oh gosh, I pressed the wrong button again, sorry. I'm really trying my own patience today. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Chris. I'm glad you're in, Robert. It's nice to have you. Oh, do you know what? Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine. No, thank you, Sarah. I'll wait for a couple more. I'll run through the colours again. Oh, I need to get my brushes out. I'm so behind today. It's ridiculous. Oh, that'll do. Just go with those few. A couple of flats, a small brush and a round brush. That'll do me. Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you? I'm hoping Kathy might sort it out, Nick. I don't know. I have asked. So colour-wise, we have white, ultramarine, cerulean blue, cadmium yellow, cadmium red, and burnt sienna. Right, now, Discord. How do these headphones just get so messed up just by not even touching them? Hello, people on Discord. Hello, Angela. I'm alright, how are you feeling? Are you better now? Oh dear. So I was going to say, because I know you spoke to me the other week, but I was going to message you this week just to see how you were, because I'm nice like that. Basically, okay. Well, that's good. Right, I'll tell you where this was. Now, I apologise, Robert, because you know what, my Welsh accent isn't wonderful. So this is a Welsh rainforest, and it's Coed y Felin, which is near Maenllwrog in North Wales, near Penrhyndydraeth, I think, round about there. And it's an ancient Welsh rainforest, but it's not a huge place, and it's not wonderfully promoted, which is good. And it's a very steep climb, and I just saw this amazing tree with a really long. And I just thought it was amazing, so I thought I'll take a photograph of this. It has. So what would have happened is that branch would have been more upright, and then it cracked because it got so big over the centuries. Because I first thought it was a vine until I got up close. Yeah, nice of them. Well, I used to be in Church Lane. My shop was in Church Lane. When did I leave? I was there 2010 to 2012 in Church Lane. Then I moved briefly to White Lion Walk until I could get more back on my feet, and then I've been in Parsons Street since 2014. So this is a different reporter, though. The usual reporter that I chat to has left. Well, because the shop's shut and all our suppliers are shut, Cassie, it's been really hard. So we're fully reliant on these online classes, which is why we've been doing a lot of free classes and that sort of thing. Plus, you see, I've got my two staff. I've got Sandra and Jackie on furlough, so I'm still having to pay them until the funding comes in. So we're just totally reliant, really, on the odd bits of stock we've still got to help our students keep going with their painting, and these classes. That's it. So we're limping along, but the support we've had from the online classes have been phenomenal. So it's lovely. It's lovely. I'll go through the colours again. So we've got white, cerulean blue, ultramarine, cadmium yellow, cadmium red, burnt sienna. It's taken me, just looking at this photograph, it's taken me back. I climbed the rainforest on my last day. It's got a lovely river and waterfalls underneath, so it's got its own humidity and everything. And just the smell of the damp mosses and the sound of the water. It's lovely, lovely place. We're also going to be launching a new thing probably this evening, before the evening class, Nick, so don't worry. It's hang on, I forgot to plug my laptop in today. Hang on. Battery's low. Where's the plug? Oh, for goodness sake. That's it. What's it doing there? I'm just really... But do you know what? I've worked out I've not actually had a day off since lockdown. I've been doing... I mean, this week, how many classes have we got? So I had 2 classes yesterday. I've got 2 classes today. I've got a class tomorrow, 2 classes Thursday, a class on Friday morning, plus a gig Friday afternoon for VE Day, then a class on Saturday. I've actually got Sunday the 10th is my first actual day to myself where I'm not teaching, not singing, just doing nothing to do with work. But I probably will end up doing work. So I think you've all drawn, so I'll stop waffling. I'll save my waffle until we need a bit to dry. So we'll work on the background and see how we get on. Hello, Chris, you're on Discord. No. Are you joining us on... Are you on Discord, Sarah, today or not? Oh, yes, Sarah, right, Nick. Could you shove her onto this group as well if she's not already? Please. You're going to watch it on Facebook, Ange? Okay. There should be... What are you watching on, Angela? Yeah, there should be on mine. There's always a little hidden volume thing on there that I can turn off because I'm watching through my laptop and I obviously have to turn my the sound off. Trying to find it. Oh, annoying. But yeah, I don't like the feedback as well. I know exactly what you mean because you're hearing it twice then, aren't you? Fiddling. Okay. Okay, lovely. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're going to mix a sort of skyish colour that's a bit grey. So I'm going to go with a bit of white, a little bit of ultramarine, just a little bit. I want to just tint it, and a little bit of burnt sienna. So it's more of a pale, coldy blue-grey, and I'm just going to put that around the top. So that's ultramarine, burnt sienna, and white. So you'll be using water, Nick, if you're doing it in watercolours instead of white. So I'm just tinting, going around a little bit. Maybe I'll do all of this section here. Well, Sarah, you're on Discord now for the Tuesday afternoon group. So if you wanted to jump on and listen to my... Oh yeah, if you want to jump onto the Tuesday channel, you can, to hear my dulcet tones in real time, my hay fever ridden tones. Oh, do you know what? I tried to rehearse for my VE Day show and I can't actually sing at the moment because it's really affecting me. Huge sigh of relief from many people. So this isn't watery, it's not really thick either. I'm just sort of tinting the paper in the sky area, just so I've got a bit of coverage when I want to add some of the foliage. Basically, yeah. I want to keep my trees, or the main tree, fairly visible throughout. Yeah, because even though that's the ground level, I'm not really going to have anything going through that, so that's all right. We'll do a bit of stippling for the foliage as well, I think. It can be more dense on that slope line up, and then a bit more stippled further up. I'm probably not going to clean my brush because I'm a bit lazy. I don't want it too runny, but I will go with some ultramarine and a little bit of cadmium yellow. I want it quite a blue-green. I need to mix more. I'm being a bit too stingy. Ultramarine and a bit of cad yellow. And I will add a tiny bit of white in there, but not a lot. So you can see it's quite a blue colour. And I know it's not like the colour that we've got in the photograph, but I want to keep it quite blue behind. So I'll fill in. We will make it more distant tree-like, but I'm just filling in with my flat brush, working out which bits tree and which bits not. Oh, actually, I'm going to just fill all of that in. There. Well, I've dusted off my my vintage uniform ready for Friday as well. It's all go this week. It really is. And then hello, Anne. Okay, lovely. Okay. That's all right. Yeah. So as my paint runs out, I'm able to stipple a little bit more. And this is still the cadmium yellow and ultramarine. And we will highlight extra bits in this, I think, but it's good just to put a little bit of background in. It really was this sort of bright green in real life, but when you translate that in art, it won't look right, and people go, oh, see. You'll be better when you've learned how to mix your colours. Oh no, I've just dislodged my temporary filling. Annoying. I'll sort it out in cup of tea time, I think. Because I keep topping it up, you see. I should really pull the whole temporary filling out and start again, but I'm a bit loath to do that because I'm just a wuss. So I just topped it up. I'll be alright if I'm not, as long as I'm not having hot and cold water or anything, which I won't be until the coffee break. Then I'll be alright. No, it's not that hot and cold of an issue, to be honest, but it's just frustrating because I never went to the dentist because of being poorly over Christmas time. Not with the virus, but with a virus. So I never made my appointment. So kind of my own fault, I guess. Right, so I've stippled all of that, and then what I want to do with just a thin brush is mix a bit of burnt sienna and ultramarine together. So this is all to do when you can in your own time. So don't rush. And maybe a little bit of white, so a darkish brown. And I just want to indicate a few really runny paint trees. These are trees, Barry. Yes. Just because, for two reasons. I am going to be putting highlights on it, and the other reason is the colour that's in the photograph will look even more false when it's translated in acrylics, and I don't want it to. Because technically that would be lemon yellow and cerulean, and I think it might be a step too far for believability. But I am going to do some lighter green highlights over the top of this, but I want to get the feel and the depth of a forest. But good question. Keep that. So it's a broken line in places, and I should really, they are all really straight trees as well, but I will stick a few branches on. And then we've got some substance then for when we do the highlights. Oh, you're doing the Aurora Borealis one. Yes, I've forgotten which one we did yesterday. It was fun. Different. It was just a lovely picture though, so I had to do it. But well, that's it. And sometimes though, you can really like a photograph, but it doesn't always translate in terms of a painting, does it? Let me clean that brush as well. What, the black? Yeah. Okay. Let's clean that flat brush. So lots of bits of filling in. And you can, I'm going to use a smaller flat brush. And again, I'm not rushing you, but I know because you will finish at different rates. I'll try to go to the mid, and then those that need more time will get it, especially during when I have to sort my tooth out again and make a cup of tea, or maybe not make a cup of tea and just sort my tooth out. The next, the highlight on here is the cadmium yellow, but with a little bit of cerulean, which is quite a fake green. So the yellow is the same, but we're changing the blue and maybe adding a little bit of white to it. But if you enjoy steep climbs and nice hikes, waterfalls and trees, I can recommend going here. It's not well signposted. In fact, I struggled to find it off a lay-by, and there was a tiny little sign. So I'm lightly tapping near Maen Trwrog in North Wales. We did the pine forest, yes. So we did the other side. Yeah, it's the same rainforest, but the other side. There'll be quite a few of these lessons. You can always tell where I've been depending on the classes. So there's lots of tapping. Just vary the colours really. Play around with the blues and the yellows. Well, the yellow and the two blues, and see what you can come up with. I might add a bit more blue in some of this, but it's good, I think, to play. And the darker green stays there as your like solid shadowy colour, and we'll be all right. But it was nice for the Banbury Guardian to do a little thing on us. Yeah, I've just shared it. It comes out online the day before it goes to print, so it's out online now. I shared a link on the shop's Facebook page, just about the online classes and stuff. Well, no, I know that's the thing. I think the Banbury Guardian and other, like all press, are struggling because people aren't buying physical parts of it. Yes, you can't do the other way around, but you can put acrylic on top of watercolour. No, yeah, you can't put watercolour on top of acrylics. Yeah. So we've got another free class on Saturday, which will be quite nice. Well, we do get quite a few in donations. Yeah, we get some in donations, but the aim of the free classes is obviously to promote the real life classes. Yeah. Because we had over 280 people join us on Saturday, just gone, and at least 60-70% were totally new, who hadn't even heard about us. Obviously, because they're from all over the world, so they won't have heard of. Who expects to hear from an art shop in North Oxfordshire when you're in Washington? But it does help, and we're getting so many lovely messages from people. We really are saying how much they appreciate being able to still be creative even though they're stuck at home. And there was a lovely message today from a lady it was her daughter's 14th birthday party on Saturday, and obviously she couldn't have a birthday party, so she and her mum did our Bluebell Wood class. And apparently it was the highlight of her daughter's birthday. And she said how lovely it was that we were providing this service, and that we're still keeping our staff in employment throughout all of this, and she said it's a good thing, whereas large companies just value profit over staff. And she said it's lovely that a small business like you is still thinking. That was on Facebook. That was just a lady from Facebook. I think it's UK based, but we have picked up a few new customers, and others are saying that when we reopen, they'll be ordering online from us as well. So it's really lovely. This, Christine, is a mixture of cadmium yellow and cerulean blue and a bit of white, but I'm just playing around with lots of different versions of the colour. And because I'm not having it as bright as it is on the photograph, because it's just a bit too much, and I want the tree to be a little bit paler because it's got a pale bark. So I'm just using my little flat brush and stippling it out a little bit. These are the Pebeo brushes that we sell, you know, the set of 8. A set of 8 brushes for £5.95. So we use them in the classroom all the time for anybody that needs to use materials, and they're great for oils. We've used them for oils, we've used them for watercolour, and we've used them for acrylics. And you know, for what, £6 for 8 brushes, you can't go wrong with that. So even if you abuse them like I do, they work really nicely for foliage. That feels a bit more natural to me. I'm happier with that sort of colour scheme. Oh dear. So yeah, I'm finding time is flying so fast. Well, yeah, I mean, I was hoping that I'd be able to actually have some leisure time. But because I forget how much of a workaholic I actually am. But it's I need the income as well, don't I? So I can, as much as I'd like time off, I wouldn't have had it off if we weren't in lockdown. So I'm just enjoying not having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and not having to do the commute and all of that kind of thing. So it's so in some respects it is more leisurely. I can faff about a bit, you know. I'm still in my slippers. I have got a tie on though. I'm top half ready, just in case I have to do a Zoom or anything. Yeah, I've been playing with different knots on my tie today, because I normally just do the quick, was it 4 in hand, but I've been doing the full Windsor, which is quite nice, but it's a massive knot. I tried one called the Eldridge knot, but I couldn't work it out. It makes it look like the knot is plaited. But trying to follow the instructions, it took me so long. I thought, you know what, the cornflakes will be gone off by the time I've got this right. So I just gave up and did a full Windsor instead. Okay, so how are we doing? Lots of stippling. Because the lights, I want the light to come, well, the light was actually, because this is a real heavy canopy as we climb up. So where we're standing and towards the right is where there is more of an opening, because it's sort of like a really steep valley going down. And so behind where we are standing is a huge tree-lined drop down to the rocky waterfalls below. And because I went last June, it was quite dry because it was the end of the heat wave. So a lot of the waterfalls weren't really there. They were just little trickles, and some had dried up. So I do want to go back when we've had some heavy rain or something, and appreciate it. But there are people that live in some houses. There's a ruined house up there, but there are 2 or 3 houses right on the top, on the edge of the rainforest. So before coffee break, because it's coming up, it's 20 to 3. Basically, all I'm going to do is block in the path and the slope in a sort of pinky brown, let it dry, and then sort my tooth out again, and have a drink maybe. I love trees. There's something magical about trees. I could spend my life with trees and waterfalls. That's all I kind of need in life, is trees and waterfalls, and I can exist quite happily, especially mossy trees, because it reminds me of we used to stay we used to holiday every year in North Wales, up near Arthog, high into the mountains, in an old reused water mill. So there was a stream at the front, huge drop looking out over the Morthac estuary, and then waterfalls and trees and forests to the left. And every morning I'd used to get up and have a paddle in the stream, and then swing over the washing line, cross the fence and the waterfall into the forest where the big waterfalls are. And there was a little alcove of rocks and moss and trees, and I used to play in there. That was kind of like my den. And just the smell and the sound, oh, it was lovely. That's where I'm obsessed with gnomes and fairies and things, because I used to pretend or imagine that there were gnomes and what have you, all about through the woodland. Right, so I'm gonna, I'll still use that same small brush. I think it'll be easier if I go with a bit of burnt sienna and a bit of cadmium red and a little bit of white. Ooh, not a bad colour actually. So it's more of a pinky brown. I forget how stingy I am with the paint, you know, because I always put far too much out. Even when I'm not putting much out, it's too much. So I'm using this, so this is cadmium red, burnt sienna and white. And I'm painting it to follow the gradient. So Nick, you'd need to do a bit of green in here as well, because the brown might be too dominant for you, do you think, if you're using watercolour? No, you'd have to use acrylic or gouache. Yeah, you could do it in yellow ochre. Yeah. Happens to us all. I'm going to tweak where the path goes as well. I don't like it being on the edge. But it all helps to get the feeling. Maybe I'll go with a bit more white up here. But this is just a base coat. We want to cover the ground. Might use a bit more burnt sienna and less white as we get towards the foreground, just to get that, again, that feeling that we want it to feel warmer as it's closer to us. me add a little bit of dark there, and then I'm going to do the path very, very light. Same colours, but a little bit pinkier. And I can show you where it's going to sort of go, because I want it to sort of like come round. Like this. So all of this is just variants of burnt sienna, cadmium red and white. Yeah, yesterday morning, for those of you on Facebook, for Great Borton Art Group that isn't Great Borton Art Group because we're not there at the moment, I did a 45-minute demo on painting Aurora Borealis in acrylics, and it was really tricky, but it was such a beautiful picture. If I show you, there you go, that's my version of it. Yeah, you'll see it in a second, because there's a nearly a 30-second delay from what I'm saying to what you're seeing at the moment. There you go. So that's the Northern Lights that we painted on yesterday morning's class. So it's nothing but varied. And then last night we were painting a Hunt Edmunds brewery truck in watercolours. Today is a forest. Tonight is Glenative in acrylics, isn't it? Tomorrow is Portmaddock Harbour, isn't it? Thank you, Karen. You're saying all the right things. You can definitely come again. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry. So now is actually a good time if you want to make yourself a drink or put your temporary filling back in. So I'll be back in a minute. So you've got time to catch up. Right, I think I'm done for now. I think when I talk, there's a certain bit of my tongue that goes in and flicks it out, which is naughty. Right, so that should be almost dry in places, which is good. And I'm going to build up darks again in the background, and then we'll do the tree last because it's sort of in front, well, almost last. So I am going to go for a really, really dark green, just in a small quantity. So a lot of ultramarine, a little bit of cadmium yellow, tiny bit of burnt sienna. And I'll sort of put this in stippled, just to sort of set in the brown. But obviously the aim is that we still want some of the brown to show through. I will use the bigger brush when I get to do the other layers of grassy, mossy stuff. A few dark bits. I'll probably use this as well for right in the foreground. Because it's nice with acrylics to be able to put the darks in, then build up the highlights. Well, once I get wind that the suppliers are open, I'm reordering like I'll be spending like a sailor, Chris. So you better all reorder. I'm going to be putting a lot of the products on Shop Happy, because obviously when we reopen, we'll have to have stipulations for social distancing, and so basically for us that would mean only one person in it, one customer in at the time, because our shop's not really big enough for any other form of social distancing. But also we know that there's a lot of people that will still be wary about going out, or maybe won't even be able to go out if they're still shielding. So we're going to try and do a lot more online selling. Trish, this is ultramarine, a bit of cadmium yellow, and a tiny bit of burnt sienna. So it's basically a blue I'm using, a blue-grey. The cadmium yellow seems to have disappeared from my mix, but that's okay because it's a good shadow colour, a good dark. And this is just so when we put the lighter greens on, they pop a little bit more, and it just helps create little bits of texture here and there, hither and thither. So Cassie, are you painting outside today, or are you in the boat? Yeah. I bet it's lovely. And the last few weeks have been beautiful, haven't they, weather-wise? So that'd be a really nice place to... Sometimes I regret not buying one. You know, when I got divorced, I was going to buy a narrowboat, wasn't I? But then I chickened out. Oh, is it? Oh, mind you, I say that. My house is absolutely freezing all year round. It never really gets above 10-12 degrees in my house, no matter what the weather, unless I put the heating on. But then as soon as I turn my heating off, it drops again. It's a very cold house where I live. So it's not unusual for me to wear a jumper in the height of summer where I live. So building up slowly, building up slowly. I say slowly, we're already an hour in, we've only got an hour and a half left. But we've blocked it quite well, you know. I like to cover a lot of ground, as you know, because it just sort of makes you feel you've achieved more. Oh, for the Aurora Borealis, I did a sort of like misty bit of white over most of it. Yeah, I kept some areas black though. But keep it kind of misty. Yes, yeah. Might as well use it up, absolutely. Okay, so... So I'm going to make a bright... Oh, this is soggy, this brush. Let me just dry it off a little bit. I thought I dried it, but I'm going to use my big brush because I'm going to stipple. You could fan brush if you want, but I know some of you are a bit hesitant to use the old fan, so we'll go with cad yellow, a little bit of cerulean. I'm not going to mix it up thoroughly. And hopefully we can sort of, I lightly dust with it almost, so I'm not hitting hard, I'm gently tapping, following the gradient of the slope. So this is just cadmium yellow with a little bit of cerulean blue. Using a flat brush to stipple. You could use a fan brush, you could use a rake or a comb. Yeah, a raccoon, yeah. We've got other trees to put in. There's two closer two trees, aren't there? On the right hand side. extremely generous with the amount of cerulean I put on my plate today. Come on, splay. Cad yellow, yeah. I'm not using any lemon today. Right. Just again, I'm just mixing varying quantities of blue and yellow. I'm keeping it more towards the back to start with. Tiny bit more yellow and a little smidge of white, just to lighten. Just helps get a little bit of extra depth and distance in this, because it's not a lot going on this spare bit, but we'll attempt to add a few twigs and branches on the floor when we add the other two main trees. I don't think I can do any more to this, because otherwise I'm just going to keep stippling away and I'm going to end up with no brown. No, I haven't seen it yet. When did she... Oh, maybe I have seen it. Well, I know she gets stressed, doesn't she? Yeah. You know, I didn't see that. I'll have to have a... Oh, okay. Excellent, that's clever. Well, I'm going to sort of do the two main trees that are slightly to the right, and then do some logs in a sec, or branchy bits, because they're all covered in moss anyway, but it's good to get them in, and they'll all be in the same sort of wood. It's quite a pale wood. I think they're actually silver birches, some of these. It's a real mixed ancient forest of fir trees and... I'll be using a round brush for the other bits, but I think I'll do, I'll probably mix a bit of ultramarine and burnt sienna and white together to make a sort of white, a chalky grey sort of colour. Oh yeah, a bit more white. And that'll work for my trees, I think. Oh, there's 3 trees. I didn't see the 3 trees. A sort of one... I'll do the close-up one first. I might use a bit more white, actually. Then there's another one. There. So this is still not that runny. But it's fluid enough to move. If I add a bit more white, then I can just slightly edge the right hand side. I will put some darker stripes across these to make them feel a bit more birchy. Birchy, is that a word? It is now. Birchy is a word, everybody. I want you to use it at least twice a day. I might use some of this just to mark out where I want the logs and fallen bits. Of course, I need them to look like, not look like slugs. Which is more difficult than you may think. To stick something there. Okay. So if I make up a slightly darker brown then from the blue and the ultramarine and burnt sienna with a bit of white. I don't want it too strong again. I can sort of mark in some of those silver birch lines. But again, I don't want to be over fiddly. We don't really have the time to... I don't have the time. You might have loads of time once the class is finished. But the little old Bazaroo, I'm afraid I haven't, because I've got another class tonight. So... you can fiddle away to your heart's content, or to your art's content. Slap it on and sell it quickly. Do you know what, Nick? I spent a lot of my career not even knowing that I'd got a style, to be honest. I don't try to emulate anything. Obviously, when I first started watching Bob Ross when I was a teenager, all my paintings looked like a Bob Ross painting. But because I teach so many different ways and so many different mediums, I don't think I have a style. However, people tell me they can always tell my paintings. So therefore, I must have a style. But what is it then, Chris? Be kind. It's a Barry style. Yeah, maybe that's it. It's from the White House School of Art. But yeah, no. But it's really hard to define, isn't it? Because even my watercolours, you can tell, my acrylics, you can tell that I've painted them. But in terms of, to say, because I'm not impressionistic most of the time, intentionally, and equally, I'm certainly not photorealistic. I'm not that illustrative, although I can be at times, depending on what I'm doing. So I'm quite hard to pigeonhole, because probably knowing me, if somebody did try to pigeonhole me, I'd then do a different painting just to prove that I wasn't that type of artist, you know. I'm terrible like that. I have to, I constantly have to prove to myself or prove to others that I'm capable. So I will challenge myself a lot more. So if somebody said, oh, you paint just like so and so, I then deliberately change my style, because I don't want to paint like someone else. I want to paint like me. Oh, lovely. I know, it's. I think social media is really good. I'm a member of a lot of art groups. I'm a. This is a dark brown, by the way, from the ultramarine and burnt sienna. I'm a member. I'm a mentor on one of the group pages. On, I think it's called I Am an Artist page, and so sometimes people might message me asking for help and advice, and I give it as much as I'm able. But it's lovely to see people's work from all over the world, and the different styles, and see new different things that you may not have seen. So I think social media has its place if you use it for what, I mean, I don't use it at all, really. I use it just to promote the shop, and occasionally moan about things, and then the rest of the time I'm looking at pictures of landscapes, cats, puppies, all sorts of things, really, that I like the look of. I don't. I engage with people far less than perhaps I should, but it is a very. Oh, I know. I know, it's funny, isn't it? We all have our own ideas of what a proper artist is or does. Yeah, was that in pastels or was that in acrylic? Watercolour. Um, there's another pastel artist locally called Val Sims, who's on Instagram, and she does the most amazing pastel animals, as does my friend Jan Wilkinson. She's absolutely astounding with what she can create with pastels. Absolutely skilled. I'm quite jealous of, there's a few, I am jealous of a few people in the art world and a few people in the vintage music world, which is, but it's not, it's quite nice. The guy that I'm really quite jealous of in the vintage music world told me that, he said, I think we're both fully paid up of members of the Mutual Appreciation Society the other day, which was really nice, actually. He stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning, because he lives in South Australia, and he stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning to watch my show the other day, which was really nice of him. But his voice is, I shared him on Facebook. He's called Al Rayner, and he sings with his two daughters, and he's got the most amazing voice. You'd think he was a builder or something from the way he looks, and then when he speaks, he's an Irish guy living in Australia, and when he speaks, he's got this rich, deep voice. He's just like, like the Matt Monro, Engelbert Humperdinck, that kind of richness to his voice. It's amazing. But anyway, so I've got a few branches and stuff now. Yeah, because him and his daughters were going to do a live feed, but then their technology went down, so they did it 2 days later. Rainer music. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You know what? With this sort of pale brown that I've got, so I've still got some on my palette, I might just put a few little dobs and dashes on the pathway. Tap it with my finger. I'm a good, you know, well, if you were at the class yesterday, you know I enjoy finger painting. And no exception here, because this is a good way of getting texture. Tap it with your finger. But I am going to do some darker textures in here as well. But this is just a really good way of plopping in colour. Basically, what I want us to be at, roughly, is I want all of this done, apart from the big old tree, in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Now, that might seem like a daunting task, but it's not actually. We've only got to shove a bit of green paint on it. That's all it is, really. Don't forget what I always tell you that painting is. Painting is just the right colour in the right shape in the right place. That's basically all art is. The skill is learning the right colour, learning the right place, and learning the right shape. And hopefully that's kind of where I come in to help you out. So I'm using a darker browny grey now and tapping with my finger, and that should give me a nice mottled pathway. But I don't want to lose the light too much. If you're quite clever, you could put a dark colour on one side and the light colour on the other, and then you've got your highlights and your lowlights all in one go. But that is quite. I'll show you because it is wonderful to do. So if I go with almost white, I'm still using the flat brush on one edge, so I'll stroke the brush out like that on my white. It's dirty, so it goes a pale brown. Flip the brush over and go into the dark section. And then if I just sort of have the light end facing upwards, I can print highlighted stones and rocks as often as I need to. But do make sure your highlights are the right way up, because otherwise it'll look weird. Maybe I should put some of the gingery brown colour back in now. Which was the cadmium red and burnt sienna, wasn't it? So if I do, again, cadmium red and burnt sienna with a little bit of white. Then do another bit with more white. So I've got a light bit for the top side of my brush and a darker tone for the other. And then I can just blob, 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 little blob and drag. There's another technique for you. Blob and drag. Takes a bit of practice, and I've been doing it for 25 years, so obviously I can make it look a little bit easier. But it's well worth learning how to blob and drag. It'll make your life so much more enriched. Oh God, this is getting to me, this lockdown. Okay, let's do a bit more. Let's go up here. Let's do a few little blob and drag rocks and pebbles and things in amongst the. Ooh, yeah, this is looking good. Hiya, Kevin. Good morning to you. From my calculations, it's 9 in the morning, no, 10:30 in the morning where you are. Welcome. Welcome live from Maryland. Hope you're doing all right. And then we'll stick some more grass and things up on here as well. But you can see it's quite effective, isn't it? Worth persevering with. What I love, you know what, Kevin? I remember when you did, what would you do? It was for an Art for the Anxious, wasn't it? And we did that riverbed, wasn't it? And we did all of the stones and rocks, because it was just a riverbed full of pebbles. And we did every single pebble using this method, didn't we? I remember you all painting of that. Yeah, that was a while ago. Excellent. I'm going to get a glass of water. I didn't get myself a hot drink because of the old tooth. But I do need a drink. So a bit more grass. So a bit more stippling and flicking. It's basically nearly all cadmium yellow and cerulean, to be honest. Just in varying quantities. You can actually see how cadmium yellow the moss is on the trees and the trunks. And how cerulean those bits of vegetation are in the foreground. So it's quite useful. I'll be using my little flat manky brush. Yes, I remember. You see, I always remember when people do really good pieces, because I get quite jealous and annoyed when you all do good things. I should feel flattered, shouldn't I? Because obviously it's the amazing teaching method that I'm giving you, but I don't. I just get very jealous. And then the really good students I banish to America, and they're never allowed to come back again. Right, so I'm going to go with, I think we'll do some yellow, cadmium yellow, a little bit of white, and maybe a hint, but very nondescript amount of cerulean blue. I want the moss to be more of a yellow green. Oh, yes, that's perfect. And I'm just stabbing lightly on the what are these called? Branches. Oh, that really is a good colour. So that's cadmium yellow and a little bit of, you know, an almost nondescript amount of cerulean and a bit of white. I'm going to stab it up my trees as well, the little birch trees that we've got. Have I mixed enough? No. Will I mix some more? Hopefully. Will it be the same colour? Probably not. Oh, my hay fever. I wish it had just stopped. I was watching another singer yesterday and she had to keep stopping and apologising because she just couldn't sing, bless her. The hay fever was so bad. Oh yeah, this is a nice colour. We'll stick with this. I love scrappy old brushes. In fact, I never ever throw them away. It's quite bad, but they always come in for grass and bushes and all manner of things. Okay, so I'll probably use my round brush to do a bit of this greeny texture because I want to leave my stipply brush full of moss. So I'm going to go with a bit of lemon and more cerulean. Oh, it's probably too much cerulean. A bit of cad yellow, sorry, and cerulean. Tiny weeny bit of white, and I'll just use the point of my brush to indicate sort of leaves. And I'll probably go a little bit lighter than this. So the point of my brush is always facing upwards, or outwards rather than upwards, because that helps. A pointed brush is good because it's leaf shaped anyway. So I'll block it in, and then I'll put some lighter over the top. Might do some pale green grass as well, but we've got to get that tree done. And we're going to get about half an hour to do that tree. Hopefully, a little bit longer. So I've added a bit more yellow and a bit more white. And this will hopefully give me some lighter leaves. So yeah, this Saturday we've got a free watercolour workshop at 11 o'clock. Which is a boat on a beach, a fishing boat with a long mast. That'll be good. Lots of interesting things going on. And obviously Friday is VE Day. If you were going to do something VE Day celebratory, I am doing a live stream of singing 40s and wartime songs from 2:30 on my Bo Norton Facebook page. I'm using the same green, more dilute with the pointy brush, but I'm turning it into clumps of grass. And then I really do want us to get on with that tree. Quite emerald, this colour. But of course you can make it whatever colour you like. I've decided I don't want lemon yellow in this. But you could add lemon yellow if you wanted to change the colours up a little bit. I just find it would be a little bit too much in this scene. So it's all, I like to dull things down. But this would be a beautiful painting for fairies and gnomes, wouldn't it? You could imagine them plopping along. I do love gnomes. As most of you will have seen from my gnome exhibition in December. Sold quite a lot of those, especially greeting cards. I can't wait to get back at it and just start, even if we're not open properly, but I can just start putting stuff online and get stuff from suppliers again. That's what I really want. But we are launching something this evening. Well, as soon as the class finishes, really, at 5 o'clock, I'll be doing a post to launch a new thing. I'm not going to say what it is yet. Sadly, it won't be to any of you, or most of you, I don't think, will be able to benefit from it. But it's a nice thing that we're doing, and that we're launching. So. We're trying to give back a little bit, which we do every so often, but we've let it slip the last year or so, so we're launching another initiative. Yes. Same size. About 2 hours 20 minutes. I wouldn't spend much longer. I think that what I've done over the years is that I've learned how to work quicker. Because don't forget, when I used to work for Dale Arowney, I only was allowed 45 minutes to paint, and that was on A3, so I'd have to do a 45-minute demonstration in acrylics in A3 before the next before the watercolourist came on, and that was about 20 years ago. So I've just learned how, and if I don't spend any longer than 5 hours on a painting ever. So even I don't know if you see it. I did a bluebell wood with the sunlight through it. I've sold it as a canvas print for a few years now, but I think I've run out. And that one I did as an entrance competition entrance for Sky Arts Landscape Artist of the Year. And you only get 4 hours to paint if you get through and you get to paint in real life. So I did it in 5.5 hours. And that was a 70 by 70 big canvas. But yeah, it's learning how to use your brushes and learning how to use your paint to, as I say, to create the right shape in the right place. And then once you can do that, you can speed up quite a lot. So yeah, I never spend more than 5 hours. The pet portraits I do, you know, with individual hairs and all of that, they take about 6 hours each animal. And that is because I am painting almost every single hair on them. Depending on the fur, really. If it's a short hair, it's less time. If it's long hair, it takes longer. Or if it's close up or further apart. Right, I'm not going to do any more to my ground, I don't think. I could, and I probably will, when I mix this tree trunk colour, which is going to be that sort of off pinky grey brown colour, I might do a few twigs or something coming through here, because this upper left hand side has nothing in it, and if I don't put some twigs in it, I will be painting a gnome or a hare or something in there. So I might do that later. So I'm going to mix, what am I going to mix? Cadmium red, burnt sienna, ultramarine and white. Not quite sure why I've squeezed out so much cerulean blue today. I think I was just slap happy with the blue, but haven't given myself enough ultramarines. Actually that'll do for the main colour. So that's cadmium red, ultramarine, burnt sienna, and a bit of white. Now I will be darkening it and I will be lightening it, and I'm painting all of the tree, even the bits that I'm going to cover in moss. I'm using a small brush just to be a bit more careful. This will be and with the moss I will do 2 layers of colour. I'll do a dark green and then a real vibrant green. So I definitely want to make sure with this mix I've got the lighter branch colours that I can, so I've just painted over that one that I've drawn in. What's the point of drawing that in? And again, the paint isn't running, it's fluid enough to move across my canvas surface. I hope you're enjoying it today. It's kind of, oh, the birdsong's finished. Kind of relaxing because it's quite repetitive. You see, the reason, Nick, to follow on with your question, why I would spend about 2.5, maybe 3 hours on a commission of a landscape is that I'd be able to do it and I'm not having to actually talk about how I'm doing it or why I'm doing it. So that would speed me up, you see. Because these landscapes, the landscapes that I teach, I have to be able to paint it a 2-hour class in an hour. So if I was left to my own devices and I was just painting this on my own without anybody here and without me having to tell everybody how I was doing it, it would take me about an hour. So that's how I work out the classes. If I can do it in half of the amount of time of the class, then I know I can teach it in that time. If that, because it does take it takes more time, you know, to talk to you all, and to at the moment I'm having to guess when you're all finished because I can't see, so I'm gonna have to sort of like go mainstream down the middle of the guessing. But when it's just me, I can get the hairdryer out, I can just go for it, you see. Maybe go a little bit darker now. Bit more burnt sienna, and I'm gonna use cerulean because I've just got a lot of it and I don't want to waste it. So I'm using cerulean in with my burnt sienna to give me a slightly darker. Oh, it's a nice colour actually. Good call, Barry, good call. To get this broken bit of wood. So I haven't cleaned my brush, this is just in with that mix of this tree colour. I've mixed a little bit of more burnt sienna and a bit of cerulean. And the colours will start to dry, making it a little bit more difficult to blend. This darker colour just sort of on the left hand side of the branches. Definitely the underside. Oh, there's some really dark branches as well. I want to make sure I'm getting in. There's that other one there, isn't there? We've got lots of darks and lights and things to play around with. We've got half an hour, which might sound a little bit stressy, but to be honest, apart from stroking some light bits and some dark bits in and then stippling some green on, it's kind of as a painting done, which you can of course then spend more time on if you want to, or you might decide that you'll do something else with it. I don't know. How's yours coming on, Chris? Are you actually doing this one, or are you doing a different one? Oh wow. Yeah, because you're more mountainy, aren't you? Yeah. You do lovely. You do some lovely mountains. You really do. Oh, absolutely. I think portraits are that sort of that goal that most artists want to achieve at some point in their career, because it's that age old thing, isn't it? Really, I suppose. You know, it is, because it's, you know, you can get a human, but can you get a human that looks like the person that you're aiming to draw? That's one thing, and then also getting the life in it, because a likeness is one thing, I think, but a life that, you know, twinkle, a warmth, that kind of thing, really, really hard. I'm just going to stick a little bit of cad yellow in this to get that twist in the tear. But really, I am just playing around with colour, because I like doing that. And I'll add some white bits, and then I'll be stippling with some greens. I hope you're doing all right on Facebook. I know I always think you're not, because you're not talking to me. However, I am aware that you can't type and paint at the same time. I know. So I'm going to drag the lighter colours down. It's so nice to have you all with me, though. I do enjoy having your company, painting along with me where possible. So this is just the same colour with a bit more white, and then I'll shove some greens. I think it's the greens that are going to help make this mossy old tree. Four o'clock bongs. Maybe even a bit more white. But, you know, when you think about what you do in the lessons, and I know a lot of you sort of are very hard on yourselves, unnecessarily so. Because when you think about it, whatever you achieve in this lesson is less than 3 hours of your day, and you're here being creative and painting a whole landscape. You know, some artists would take months, weeks or years to do what you're doing. So, you know, it's a massive achievement that a lot of professionals wouldn't even attempt. So when you start going, oh, I'm really rubbish, this is no good at all, actually it is, because use it as a sort of platform for yourself, for learning, that you can then, if you so wish, do another version of it later on. So you're not, you know, so this is your sketchbook kind of thing. Instead of thinking, well, this is what I've done, so this is what I'm stuck with. Not really, and not at all. You can really help yourself by weeding out your negative thoughts that will creep in. It's only natural that we dislike our own work and prefer somebody else's. I mean, those of you in class, you know, when we sort of look at everybody else's work, it almost becomes, yeah, this dark bit is cerulean blue and burnt sienna, so a blue and a brown. It doesn't matter which blue, it just happens that I've got more of the greenier blue, so I'm using it. And also, it's just a really nice way to escape, isn't it? We try not to talk too much about what's going on out in the world. Can't help it sometimes. Because it's on everybody's mind, isn't it? But yeah, I'm not going to do any more. I think I'll then do two tones of moss. Dark green with the cad yellow and ultramarine, and light green with cad yellow, basically. And I was naughty and I didn't clean my brush. So I've got manky colour on there that's going a bit crusty. So this is ultramarine with a little bit of cadmium yellow in. And this is my dark moss. Then I'll put on some yellowy moss on the top. Don't fight 10, coming up to 10 past, okay. Oh, bless you. Ooh. And the lighter bit of moss, when you're ready to add it, is cadmium yellow, a tiny bit of cerulean, and quite a bit of white. Quite a whitey yellow moss will work better visually for you. And then real splayed bristles. Just helps get the age of the tree feeling like it's an old ancient thing. No idea how many centuries old this is, but from the way it's grown, it's just, oh, I loved it. So this, to repeat these ones again, this is cadmium yellow, a tiny bit of cerulean blue, and a bit of white. So it's sort of a straw colour, I suppose, but it works really well as this sort of old lichen or lichen, depending where you come from. Just trying to add a few dark bits back that I'd lost along the way. I mean, you might find a small brush gives you a little bit more detail, but it really is down to you and what you want to create. I did say I'd use some of that lighter pre-colour, didn't I, to do some extra branches and things, because just because. can almost paint some of the branches this sort of mossy yellow, and that will help bring some parts of it forward, push other parts back. So we've got 15 minutes, so you've got about 15 minutes of fiddling to do if you want. You can add texture or extra twigs and branches, all sorts of things. It does all add to the feel. If you want thin branches, don't forget you have to make your paint really, really fluid, almost like ink. And then you can do some thinner twiggy bits and sticky bits. Yeah, but don't forget you're doing yours in watercolour, aren't you? So you're automatically more difficult because I'm teaching it in a different media, so it again, it makes a difference. Yeah. Have you got a painting knife? I don't think you will have, will you? Because you haven't done acrylics with me really since before lockdown. A painting knife's really, really cool because it you can almost scrape the paint on. I have used a plastic dinner knife before now, and that's kind of helped when I've been stuck. If you've watched old Bob Ross there, you'll see him using a painting knife for his mountains and things. It's a good effect. It's like a small builder's trowel. Oh well, there you go. And it does work, but what you have to do is you use the knife is there to guide the paint, so you shouldn't hear it scrape really. It's just there to move the paint along. I don't think there's a huge amount more that I can do with this. Maybe I can fiddle more, well that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be better for fiddling. Although yesterday I did an experiment and it backfired because I fiddled more with the painting from last night's class to say that fiddling doesn't actually make a difference, and everybody else said it did make a difference. So that did backfire. Yeah. Did you see the second version? I put the first one up straight away, and then I said I was going to give myself till 9:30, didn't I, to fiddle, and I did. So I posted it at about 9:45 last night. So you'll have to have I posted it directly underneath the other one. Close up, it doesn't look any different at all, I don't think. And also, if you want to just tint areas, you can put a bit of a colour wash. So if your brown's a bit brown and you want to tint it a little, or some of your rocks, just put a really runny colour of green over it, so it makes it transparent, and that will amazingly soften colours and push them back or tone them down. I added a bit of darker foliage in that second one. Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to do... Oh, should I add it? See, this is where I'm terrible. I'll ask myself these questions, and then I do it, and then it doesn't always work. Just toying with the idea whether to have some paler highlights on the bark. I don't think it really helps or hinders, to be honest. But you could easily become a just adder if you're not careful. But there's a lot of potential and scope with a painting like this, that you could build up browns and greens and all manner of things, just to make it feel a bit more different or mossy or old. You could mix a bit of burnt sienna in with that mossy green if you wanted to change it again. So there's lots of things that you could actually do if you so wished to make the painting more real or have more depth. There really is no right or wrong, but just be aware you can overwork a piece, that it then loses that originality that was there initially. So just give yourself a bit of caution. What I like to do is I'll allow myself to fiddle with certain pictures, others I won't touch. And I'll say, right, by this time, I'm going to put my brush down. And at that time, that's exactly when I put my brush down. Because you do reach a point where, no matter how much you do, you're not going to improve it, you're just going to add more paint. And adding more paint doesn't necessarily mean a better painting. It just means you're using more paint. I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. Oh, I'll clean that brush now. I really enjoyed doing this. Probably because I've been here. And I, nearly a year ago, let me do a sort of closer up pan of the painting so you can see. I'm chuffed with this, actually. I might keep this. Yes. That was fun to do, that. So, next, in a fortnight, because don't forget acrylics is only every 2 weeks. Tuesday. Ooh, we're doing a seal on a beach on the 19th of May. So that'll be fun. Tomorrow's drawing class is Portmaddock Harbour. Thursday mornings Art for the Anxious is a bluebell wood with watercolours. And Friday afternoons is a bird in flight. It's a red kite swooping through the sky. And then Saturday is the Cornish beach with a boat in watercolour at 11 o'clock. So I am stopping there. I'm not going to do any more. Do post your pictures either in the comments on this section or actually just as, let me put the light on so you can see. Does that balance the colour up a little? Because the way the light's hitting my painting, it's actually looking like there's light. The light is all coming from the right, which actually looks really nice. Oh, now. I could fiddle. Do I want to fiddle? No. It's lovely to have you back with us, Angela, and I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better. So I will see you all whenever I see you next, whatever form of lesson that may be. And take care, be good, and I will see you all soon. Oh yeah, or just post your pictures in this group, and then I'll just tag it under students' lessons so you can all see what everybody else has got up to. But it's been a lovely class. Thank you for your company. Thank you very much, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.